I never thought I'd be accused of theft, especially not by my own family-in-law. But 3 months ago, I stood in the center of a lake house living room, being screamed at by my sister-in-law, while the rest of the family watched in silence. She said I stole her diamond ring, a ring worth thousands, and they believed her. But let me start from the beginning. My name is Natalie. I'm 29, and I've been married to Shane, my best friend, my biggest supporter for 5 years. We built everything ourselves. From a small apartment and instant noodles to a comfortable home and a life we're proud of. We've had each other's backs through job layoffs, family drama, and long nights of we'll figure it out. And I thought that was enough. Until his sister, Tori, decided it wasn't. Tori always saw me as a threat. From the moment Shane introduced me to the family, her smile never quite reached her eyes. She comes from money, the kind that solves problems before they start. I come from hardworking parents who taught me that nothing is free and nothing is owed to you. She grew up with boarding schools, designer handbags, and private tennis coaches. I grew up with public buses and free school lunches. She never said it outright, but I wasn't good enough for her brother. And she made sure I felt it every chance she got. When Shane and I got married, she showed up in a white dress. When we bought our first house, she said it was cute. For a starter, every success we earned, she tried to one-up, usually with her husband Mike's money. And yet, I bit my tongue. For Shane's sake. For family's sake. But the weekend at the lake house, that was the tipping point. Shane's parents had invited the entire family for a weekend getaway. Tori, Mike, their kids, Shane's cousins. A full house. I wasn't thrilled about going, but Shane convinced me. Let's just have some family time, he said. It'll be good. The first night went smoothly. Forced small talk. Awkward smiles. The usual. Then Saturday came, and with it, the storm. We swam in the lake that morning. Had lunch out on the deck. Tori spent the whole meal flaunting this massive diamond ring. A gift, she said, from her father for their anniversary. I told her it was lovely. She rolled her eyes like I couldn't possibly understand elegance. I didn't care. I wasn't there for her approval. Later that afternoon, I went up to the guest room Shane and I were staying in to take a nap. Just an hour. I woke up to screaming. I ran downstairs barefoot, heart pounding, and there she was, Tori, red-faced, yelling, sobbing, accusing. It's gone. My ring is gone. She was turning over cushions, sweeping plates off counters, digging through bags. Then, her eyes locked onto me. You, she screamed. You were the only one inside. You took it. The room went dead quiet. My jaw dropped. What? Tori marched over, finger in my face. You've always been jealous of me. Jealous of my life. My marriage. My ring. Give it back. I laughed, at first. Because it was so absurd, so theatrical, it had to be a joke. But no one else was laughing. Tori's voice was shrill, venomous. Where's the ring, Natalie? Just admit it. We all know it was you. I was frozen in place, disbelief tightening my chest like a vice. I didn't take your ring, I said quietly. But she wouldn't stop. You were the only one not outside. You had time. You had motive. Don't pretend you weren't eyeing it. I turned to Shane, desperate for grounding. Tell them I would never owe. He stepped in immediately. She didn't do this. Natalie would never steal. Are you all seriously listening to this? But by then, it had already begun. That slow, infectious doubt. Mike stepped up behind Tori, arms crossed. Maybe we should check your things, he said coldly. If you didn't take it, you won't mind proving it. Proving it. My stomach dropped. I felt like I was back in middle school, being cornered by kids I didn't even know, accused of something I hadn't done. Only this time, it wasn't strangers, it was family. I emptied my pockets. Then my bag. My purse. My backpack. Every zipper. Every compartment. I laid it all bare. Nothing. But it didn't matter. Tori shook her head like I just pulled off a magic trick. She probably hid it somewhere else. Shane's mom, who had always been polite, if distant, bit her lip. Her eyes flicked to Shane, then to me. I caught it. That hesitation. That moment when someone who once called you family starts wondering if you're the villain in the story. Shane's father spoke next. Maybe we should check their room. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You want to search our bedroom? Tori folded her arms. If you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't be afraid. I wanted to scream, to flip the table. But instead, I stood still, humiliated, as they ransacked our room like we were criminals. Drawers were opened. Luggage was unzipped. Even my toiletry bag was dumped out on the floor. And still, no ring. Of course there wasn't. We all reconvened in the living room, exhausted and tense. But the damage was already done. I could see it in their faces, the cousins whispering in the corner, the way Shane's mom avoided eye contact, how Mike kept pacing like I'd hidden the ring in the walls. The silence was suffocating. Then Shane's dad pulled him aside. I was too drained to care, but then I heard it, his voice, hushed but harsh. "You need to do the right thing," he said. "If she won't give it back, you need to pay for it." Shane stepped back like he'd been slapped. "Are you serious?" His father didn't back down. "It's worth thousands, Shane. Your sister's devastated. If Natalie won't confess, you need to make this right." That was it. Shane exploded. He shouted so loud it shook the windows. "My wife didn't steal that damn ring. And if any of you actually knew her, really knew her, you'd know that." The room erupted. Tori shrieked. Mike shouted back. Cousins started yelling. Shane's mom begged for calm. And I stood there, completely still. Because what do you do when the people who are supposed to be your family turn on you like a pack of wolves? Shane grabbed my hand. "We're leaving," he said through gritted teeth. We didn't pack neatly. We threw clothes into our bags, zipped them shut, and walked out without saying another word. As we backed out of the driveway, I saw them all through the window, Shane's mom crying, Tori still shouting, and Mike standing with his arms crossed like he'd won something. Shane didn't speak until we were halfway home. "I'm sorry," he whispered. I stared out the window, tears I didn't even realize I was holding finally spilling over. "I didn't take it." "I know," he said. "And they'll regret ever thinking you did." We got home just after midnight. Shane dropped our bags by the door and sat on the couch in silence. I stood in the kitchen, still wearing the same clothes from that morning, staring at the untouched dinner leftovers in the fridge. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from rage. The next morning, it began. Tori's first move was social media. A tearful post. A photo of her empty ring box. A long caption about how her priceless anniversary ring had been stolen in broad daylight by someone she trusted. She never mentioned my name, but everyone knew. The comments came fast: friends, distant relatives, neighbors. "How awful. Hope you press charges. Who would do such a thing?" And then the one that really got me. I bet it was her sister-in-law. She always looked jealous. Within hours, I was getting messages. Not just from strangers, from Shane's cousins, coworkers, even old classmates who still followed me out of habit. "Did you really do it? You should be ashamed. Just give the ring back and move on." I locked my accounts, blocked dozens of people, but the damage was done. Shane tried to stay strong. "Screw them," he said. "They don't know the truth." But I could see it in his eyes. The doubt. The weight. He couldn't sleep. He'd get up in the middle of the night to check his phone, reading new messages from his mother, begging him to just be reasonable. From his uncle, "This is tearing the family apart." From Tori herself, "You used to be my brother. What happened to you?" Even Shane's boss made a passive-aggressive remark in a meeting. Something about family values and keeping drama out of the workplace. We were being squeezed from all sides. One night, I overheard Shane on the phone with his dad. I wasn't supposed to hear it, but I did. "She didn't take the ring," Shane said, voice low. A pause. Then, "No, I'm not making her pay for it just to shut everyone up." Another pause. And then the line that shattered me. "I don't know, Dad. I wish she hadn't been alone in the house." I felt like someone had poured acid down my spine. That doubt, it had crept in. Even Shane, the only one who stood by me, was starting to wonder. I confronted him later that night. "You think I took it, don't you?" He looked stunned. "What? No. I mean, I wish there was proof. Something other than my word?" I asked. He couldn't answer. I turned and walked out. I didn't know where I was going. I just needed air, space, a world without suspicion. That night, I slept on the couch. Not because I wanted to, because I couldn't bear to lie next to someone who had started to question me. And the worst part? I couldn't prove a thing. There was no footage, no witnesses, no evidence, just my word against theirs and a growing, suffocating silence between me and the man I married. 2 weeks of silence. 2 weeks of living like ghosts in our own home. Shane barely spoke. I stopped trying. We passed each other like strangers, both pretending things were normal, when every word felt like walking on glass. And then, on a random Wednesday afternoon, I got a message. It was from Shane's cousin, Leah. We weren't particularly close. She was one of the few who hadn't reached out after Tori's public breakdown. So when her name popped up, my stomach dropped. "Can we talk?" "In person. It's important." I didn't know what to think. Trap? Another guilt trip? But something in her tone, it was different. We met at a small cafe outside town, far from anyone who might recognize us. Leia showed up in oversized sunglasses, hood pulled low like she was about to leak state secrets. And in a way, she was. I know who took the ring, she said before even sitting down. My heart stopped. It was Mike. I stared at her, not fully processing. What? She leaned in. Tori's husband. He took the ring. Sold it. Used the money to pay off part of a loan he and Ethan took out for some sketchy investment. But they blew it in Vegas. Angela told me. She heard it straight from Ethan. My breath caught. Are you serious? Leia nodded, eyes darting nervously. Angela didn't want to get involved, but I couldn't stay quiet. I know what they did to you. How they humiliated you. I sat frozen. Mike, Tori's own husband, the one who had accused me to my face, demanded we search my bags, who had stood beside Tori looking at me like I was dirt. He'd taken the ring, sold it, framed me. All the anger I had been holding in for weeks came rushing up like a flood. But underneath it was something else, clarity. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't guilty. I was set up. Can you get Angela to confirm this? I asked, my voice trembling. Leia hesitated. She's scared. But maybe. She didn't know how far it had gone. She's just worried they'll come after her. I understood. Still, I thanked Leia, genuinely. Because that one meeting changed everything. When I got home, I told Shane everything. At first, he looked stunned, confused. But then the pieces started clicking into place. Mike's weird defensiveness, how fast he had pointed the finger, his sudden silence when things got messy. You really think he did it? Shane asked, his voice low. I know he did. And I'm going to prove it. For the first time in weeks, Shane looked me in the eye and said, I believe you. 100%. And I finally believed he meant it. That night, we started digging. Once Shane and I were on the same page, things moved fast. He was furious, not just for what they'd done to me, but for how easily he had doubted me. I let them convince me you were the problem, he said that night. But the real problem was in our blind spots. We started with the basics. Shane quietly reached out to a few of Mike's old friends from college. Most of them had drifted apart over the years, but two of them mentioned something that caught our attention. Mike had a history with gambling. Not just the occasional poker night. Full-blown online casinos, shady apps, and some late-night bets that had gotten ugly. One guy even said Mike once borrowed money from a sketchy private investor and never paid it back. Then Shane made the call I didn't expect. He hired a private investigator. He told me, if we're going to do this, we're doing it right. The investigator, a quiet but sharp guy named Alan, didn't take long to deliver. Within days, he confirmed what Leia had told us. Mike and his buddy Ethan had taken out a sizable loan from a known loan shark 6 months earlier. That loan was now past due. The shark had been calling them for weeks. Threats were made. And then 2 weeks before the lake house incident, a payment was made. Partial. In jewelry. A diamond ring. My stomach dropped when Alan showed us the record. The ring had been pawned at a local shop under Mike's name. It was Tori's ring. The same one she'd flaunted all weekend. The one she claimed I stole. Alan even managed to get surveillance footage of Mike at the pawn shop. Clear. Unmistakable. Mike, wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap, handing over the ring. We had everything. The receipts. The footage. The motive. Even a reluctant confirmation from Ethan, who Alan tracked down for an off-the-record chat. The guy nearly fell apart when questioned. Said he didn't want trouble but admitted, yeah, Mike pawned the ring. Said it was easier to blame someone else. Easier to blame me. I felt sick and vindicated. All that humiliation, the whispers, the way Shane's dad looked at me like I was a criminal. And it had been Mike the whole time. We waited another week, gathering every shred of evidence before Shane called for a family meeting. He said it was about healing. We need to talk about the ring, he told them. It's time to put it behind us. Tori and Mike agreed, probably thinking they'd finally hear me confess. They had no idea what was coming. The meeting was set for Sunday afternoon at Shane's parents' house. When we walked in, I could feel every pair of eyes on me. Tori was sitting stiffly on the couch, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. Mike avoided eye contact altogether, pretending to scroll through his phone. Shane's parents looked tense but hopeful, like they believed this was finally the moment I'd apologize and make things right. They were wrong. Shane stood up, cleared his throat, and thanked everyone for coming. He said we needed closure, and that he was finally ready to share what really happened with the ring. Tori let out a sigh. Oh, thank God, she muttered. Maybe now we can get past this. Shane looked directly at her. Yes, let's get past it by facing the truth. And then he started laying it out, one piece at a time. The gambling debt, the shady loan, the pawn shop, the surveillance footage. Every detail calmly presented like a prosecutor giving their closing argument. Then he played the video. The room went silent. There was Mike on screen, handing over the ring at the pawn counter. Tori's mouth fell open. Shane's mom gasped. His dad looked like the ground had just cracked beneath him. And then came the final blow, a speaker call with Ethan. Shane had arranged it in advance. Ethan's voice trembled as he confirmed everything, including that Mike had planned to blame the theft on me from the very beginning. When it ended, all eyes turned to Mike. He tried. He really tried to lie his way out of it. I was going to buy it back, he said. I just needed time. I didn't think it would spiral like this. But the room wasn't buying it. Tori's face was red with fury. You let me tear into her, she said, voice cracking. You let me turn our whole family against her. And you knew I was wrong. I didn't know what else to do. Mike snapped. We were drowning. Shane's father stood up. And instead of being a man and taking responsibility, you threw my daughter-in-law under the bus? You let her carry this shame for months. The shame I hadn't earned. The shame that had nearly wrecked our family. Tori stormed out of the room. Mike followed her, trying to plead, but the damage was done. Shane's mom turned to me, her eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, she whispered. We were wrong. All of us. And for the first time in months, I felt like someone believed me. The meeting ended in chaos. Mike left the house in silence, face pale and drenched in sweat. Tori didn't follow him. She just sat at the kitchen table, head in her hands, shaking not with rage, but with something worse. Betrayal. Humiliation. Grief. No one said much after that. Shane's mom tried to offer tea. His dad paced. The cousins who had come just to support family awkwardly filed out. No one looked me in the eye except Shane, who held my hand the entire time. That night, Shane and I drove home in silence. Not a tense silence, though. A shared one. Like we'd been through a storm together and somehow, against all odds, made it out stronger. The next morning, it began. The apologies. A text from Shane's mother. I'm so ashamed of myself. I let suspicion cloud everything. You never deserved that. A voicemail from Shane's aunt, the one who had told me to do the right thing and pay for the ring. I misjudged you. I'm so sorry. Please let me make it up to you. Even Shane's dad, the man who'd once told Shane to man up and make me return the ring, called me personally. I picked up with trembling fingers. I was wrong, he said plainly. I should have protected you, not accused you. And I'll spend the rest of my life regretting that moment. It was the first time I heard emotion in his voice. But the most unexpected message came a week later. Tori. She called. I didn't answer, I couldn't. But she left a message. You were right about me. About everything. I've spent years tearing you down because I thought that made me feel better. It didn't. I see that now. I'm so sorry. I'm filing for divorce. I hope you'll give me a chance to be better. I didn't know what to do with that message at first. I played it 3 times. I didn't cry. I just sat there in silence, stunned that she had finally said it, that she had owned it. Mike, on the other hand, was spiraling. He moved out of their home and into a small apartment downtown. Word got around that he lost his job after his employer discovered the loan shark situation and his gambling records. Apparently, he's attending meetings now, Gamblers Anonymous, debt restructuring, the works. I don't wish him ill, but I'm not about to pretend I feel sorry for him either. He let me burn for something he did. He let an entire family turn me into a villain while he sat there quietly and watched it happen. In the weeks that followed, something strange happened. The silence, the awkward, bitter, avoidant kind, began to dissolve. And in its place came cautious gestures. Texts, invitations, check-ins. From Tori. At first, I ignored them. I wasn't ready to talk. I didn't owe her anything. But she didn't stop. She sent a voice message once, raw and trembling. I know I can't undo what I said, how I treated you, all those years. But I'm trying. I promise I'm trying. Against my instincts, I agreed to meet her, just once. A public place. Neutral ground. A cafe I liked. She arrived early. No makeup. Hair pulled back. Dressed plainly. She didn't look like the polished socialite I had known. She looked human. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she spoke. I was raised to value money, image, status. I thought that made someone worthy. But you built your life from scratch. You worked, studied, Stood up for yourself, even when everyone doubted you. I thought I was above you, Kate. But I've been jealous of you from the start. That admission cracked something in me. Not forgiveness, exactly. But maybe a little space to breathe. We talked for an hour. Then another. I didn't promise her friendship, but I told her I appreciated her honesty. I meant it. And slowly, over time, cautiously, we started to rebuild something. Not the fake smiles from before. Something closer to real. She started inviting me to things. Just her. No pretense. No backhanded compliments. Once, she even defended me at a family barbecue when a distant cousin muttered, "Oh, the ring situation, that was such a mess." Tori snapped. Kate didn't steal anything. Mike did. Let's not rewrite history. I nearly dropped my drink. Even Shane was surprised. But proud. Shane's parents, too, changed. His mom calls me just to check in now. His dad invited me to lunch once and asked for my thoughts on a business project. It caught me off guard, but I gave him my honest take. He nodded and said, "Smart. I should have asked you sooner." Something shifted in the family. I wasn't just tolerated anymore. I was respected. And not because of the ring mess, but because I'd held my ground.